Yo, let's talk about recognition and respect while I feast the labels.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into another episode of Recognition and Respect. I'm actually doing a couple firsts today. So this is the first time I'm doing two podcasts in one day. And this is the first time that my guest is someone who I've never met before other than on Twitter and is in a different time zone. So welcome, homie. Say what's up to the people.
Yo, what's good, man? Recognition and respect. I like that. You know what I mean? I'm here for the recognition. I always take my respect. Y'all know what it is. What's good? It's your boy Scorcese.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, so let's just jump into it. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked everybody. What's your name? Or who are you? So it doesn't even have to be your name. It could be more metaphysical than your name. So who are you and what do you do? And you could be as literal or as metaphorical as you want to get.
All right, cool. MC. Man, that's a little bit deeper than you think. Father, rap dad.
It's just a nice way to give you the alley-oop and let you take it to the hole. You could get out whatever you want to get off your introduction.
That's the problem.
Right here,
That's the analytics talking. You know what I mean? Like I feel like James Harden. Do I shoot the three or do I go to the hole? I don't know. Anyway, man, it's your boy Scorcese, Lord Jones. Scorcese, acronym, stacking chips on records, crushing every single enemy. Bar for bar, line for line. Any MC that want it, they can come get it. You already know how I feel. We rocking, representing Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm one half of the Dream Team with my man Jason Griff. I 1-4 for the Nation Gang. Shout out to my man Black. Shout out to PR the Great. Shout out to my man BSG. And I am 1/8 of the original Zip Squad, man. We making music all over the country. Come rock with us, man. We're gonna have a good time today. We're gonna talk about some stuff, and hopefully, I'll get to know me a little better.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's one of the beauties of doing an interview with someone who you don't know. Because usually, if I know the cat or the guest, I'll have like a certain direction I'm trying to take it, or there'll be certain points, things that I know that I want the people to know. But when it's more of a stranger, as it was, like I get to learn about you at the same time the audience is, so like the curiosity is like it's more authentic when I'm like, what, so.
Well, look, come through, ask away, man. My man, the homie Tony Grams, he told me to holler at you. I actually was trying to get up with you when I was in LA before they threw us in the quarantine. That's actually how we linked up. Started following you on Twitter from there. I was trying to hopefully get a show. One of my producers, Panels, he stays out there. Shout out to the Polo boys. And we weren't able to link up, but I kept you in mind. And as I was watching you kind of pod and get a chance to, I was like, man, I got to reach out. I got to, kind of hopefully get the conversation started. So it's good money, man.
Nah, man, then that's cool because Tony is actually, our whole story is wild, like how we ended up knowing each other. And ever since we met, like, it's always been like trying to put people on to new stuff and cameos and music and just shows. So I knew that we had met through Tony Grams. So I knew I was already like, dude, this is going to be interesting cat. But when I started digging deeper, like so many names, that's one of the things that I noticed first. There's like so many, all the links and like the rabbit hole I went down for research was like, you name some of them, right? You're Scorcese, you got Dream Team, MC Scorcese, Lord Jones, you got Scorcese Shells, there's the Zip Squad, there's Black Superheroes, Nation Gang, like all of this stuff, right? And so I'm just gonna like step back for a second and just be like, how long have you been doing music, man? Because I feel like you can only really acquire this level of affiliations in a long career, so what kind of what's your time span,
So it's crazy when you ask that question. Like I really kind of started writing in like high school, and terrible raps. I would walk around and I would see dudes battling, and I like, man, I want to get in, but I used to know what I was saying was whack, so I kind of stayed away from it. Then when I got to college, it was funny because he just had his little versus battle. Ludacris He was Chris Love at the time. He worked for the radio station down there, for the major radio station. He actually came down to my school and he hosted like a live battle. He's playing beats, and the winner would get a chance to to open up for him. Him and Redman was the joint at the time, and my boy was just, because we would stay up all night in our dorm rooms just ciphering, just rapping, freestyling, and he was like, "Yo, Shells, you should go in." Like, everybody calls me Shells, my friends anyway. People close to me call me Shelton, but they, for whatever reason, they just don't use it. And I just was like, all right, cool. So I went in as Shells and I got into a little battle. I beat the first dude. I beat the second dude. I lost the third dude. But it worked itself out because, now all of a sudden I'm walking around campus and people kind of noticing like, yo, wait, he dope, and that kind of moved me into circles of other MCs, other rappers. That kind of got me moving around Atlanta, kind of rapping and moving. But I didn't really want to rap. I started on like the managerial side. I would find artists.
Music business. You want to be in music business.
You know what I mean? Like I would find artists that I would like, yo, yeah. It was more so like, I think it was, for me, I think it was like a confidence issue. Because like when I'm writing and I'm kind of into it, I'm always thinking to myself like, man, nobody's gonna get this reference, nobody's gonna understand this, and they're not gonna. And so I was kind of impeding myself. It was like a mental block, you know what I mean? So I went back to Philly, and I started working with this group called the Drama Boys, out of Y-Town, Yaden. And they were dope, but they just needed a lot of help with like coming up with like song ideas and all this other stuff. So I started, kind of grooming them, molding them a little bit, and that whole thing fell apart. I moved to DC, and I got with another group, these two dudes from Carolina. Shout out to the homie Big V one time. And again, we started going through this process, and we got real close. We actually got a couple songs on the radio in Charlotte. We were real close. We actually got our record in the Ninth Wonder's hands, who was digging it. And then as we were going to drop off their second mixtape, I got shot. No other way to say it. You know what I mean? Like I got shot.
You got shot? Wow.
Yeah.
You're just so nonchalant. Like, oh yeah, I got blasted. Shit happens. Wow. By accident?
Is it? Yeah.
Were you a target, or
no,
were you
it definitely wasn't an accident.
Oh yeah. What the fuck, man?
So, I don't want to go too far into it.
We don't have to. Let's just brush over it. Let's just brush over it. You got shot, and that impeded the music, and then what happened?
Yeah, that threw everything off. We had a major show set up. We were actually going to open up for the Clips and the Re-Up Gang, down in Asheville, which is where they were from, that whole 828 area. And we had set it up. We knew we were going to sell out the place. Orange Peel was like 1,000 people, and I I'd already kind of mapped it out how we were going to do it. Unfortunately, I got sat down for like 2.5 months. And the irony, it wasn't the bullets that almost killed me; it was the tetanus that I got afterwards. Shout out to the DC hospital.
If the bullet don't kill you, the infection will. Jesus Christ.
The infection, that's some shit, because they didn't give me a fucking tetanus shot. You know what I mean? Well, that threw a wrench into everything, because we had sunk a lot of money into that show. We had sunk a lot of, and what's crazy is I still made the show. You know what I mean? We didn't sell the building out, but we sold 500 tickets.
That's half, right? You said 1,000, right?
Totally independent.
That's half, right? Like, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's half. And then, like I said, the Clips was behind it. Re-Up Gang, got a chance to run into Sandman and Ab. That was real dope, for me. And so they were kind of pushing, and that fell apart. So at that point, damn, I don't know what the fuck to do anymore. The music wasn't interesting to me. People was just kind of going back and forth. And I ran into Tony Grands, ironically enough, online. For those that don't know, the homie Tony Grands, aka Grandzilla, I count him as a music mentor, man. I watch what he does and I see what he does, and it's always surprising the way he's moving forward and thinking ahead of the game as far as the way he's kind of promoting and pushing himself. Well, he was actually the message boards on doublexl.com. and on Not Right, for those, who remember the old blog era. And I would go on the blogs and I would post or whatever. And I just kind of noticed, there wasn't just me rapping. There was other dudes that were rapping. There were other musicians, producers, and I'm like, yo, all this talent is just sitting here. And again, that's my music mind thinking. I'm like, all this talent's here, all these really dope dudes. Why don't we just connect and just make some music and promote it? And I got the two nicest rappers on the joint, my man Big Spit Game, and my homie Brian Reynolds, and like the dopest producers, my homie M. Lito down in the Cayman Islands, and my homie Alpha Davis down in Dallas. And I was like, yo, I need y'all to do me a favor. We're gonna Wu-Tang this shit. You know what I mean? Let me be the RZA. I'm just gonna map it out. And my goal is I'm gonna make sure that y'all have 3 or 4 projects that y'all can always go back to, and you can always refer to people back to, and they can just, like, when you drop your solos and you move on and somebody finds that, hopefully they go back and they go, damn, I found this and I found this and I found this. And it just creates like this whole energy, this wave, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like a back catalog. So
that was the Zip Squad.
So that when folks, so like when you go off and do your own thing and people do your rabbit hole, they'll have more shit to listen to. So that was the Zip Squad. That was like your first incarnation of, hey, let's just all team up and do this shit.
Yep.
But Griff is not part of the Zip Squad, right?
He is not. So I just met Griff. We've known each other for about a year and a half now, which is crazy.
Okay, but
so
Zip Squad, so you and him are the dream team. You and him are a dream team, and that's like something separate, or like under Zip Squad, or separate from Zip Squad. How does that work?
Separate. Okay. Yeah. So this is where it kind of gets intricate with it. So, Zip Squad is me, Brian Reynolds, Big Spit Game, my homie Black, my homie PR the Great, M. Lito, the homie Alpha, Spider, Human Spider, a lot of other producers, and special shout out to my man Timmy, just real big Zip supporters, and rest in peace to Tron. He passed away last year, unfortunately. But yeah, that was the Zip Squad. We were coming up with a name, and because we all lived all over the country, and in Lito's case, all over the world, And so the Zip, of course, was like the zip file. We're sending back and forth with the music.
Wow.
We do
now I get
like
it.
Superhero music.
Wait, so pause real quick. Pause real quick. I just there's a couple things that I kind of want to just dig in real quick before we continue.
Got you.
So you were a manager and you were not really trying to do rap, right? And then you for whatever reason got to this point where you met this group of artists and you're like, we could do it together. Maybe not me as an individual, but as a group, this could be something dope.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with folks in different states, countries? Like, zip files, but how, like, y'all are running all the same gear, all the same software, or they just, you're sending like actual MP3s, and they're like importing them? Like, what does that process look like?
Man, so at the beginning, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. You know what I mean? The idea itself, I ain't gonna hold you. The idea sounded better than like the process. You know what I mean? Like we had did our very first project was called As Promised, because we were trying to set up this, a lot of what the idea that I had wasn't new to the Now Right C section. You know what I mean? They had seen other artists go, we're going to drop a mixtape. Yeah, we're going to do this. And then nothing ever happened. So, you're naturally dealing with a lot of cynical people. So now, because, I'm competitive, I'm like, nah, I got to drop my shit. We got to figure it out. And I remember I recorded my half of As Promised at a random apartment in the middle of Savannah, Georgia. It was a white dude. I don't know who he was to this day. I don't remember his name. I found him on Craigslist. It was a white dude. He had this big ass fucking Rottweiler. I hate dogs. Like I can't stand them. And so I'm just looking at the dog like, yo, man, I'm in this white man's house. He gonna have this dog bite me. I'm gonna be fucked up. I ain't never gonna get home to see my kids. I was shook. And the homie Spees, he did his part in North Carolina. Like we just found somebody who could do it, and we put it all together. And I mean, as promised, the sound quality is awful. You know what I mean? Like when I go back and listen to it now. So I said, fuck that. We got to do it again. Because now I learned a little bit. I moved to Atlanta at this point, and I was like, bet, let's do just as promised. You know what I mean? Now I got a little more info. Yeah, always, branding is big, man. So I said, we're going to do just as promised. I wanted to sound just like I wanted to sound. I want the art to come out how I wanted to look. You know, you want people when they pick them old projects up to say, yo, they may not be all the way here yet, but I can see that upward trajectory. You know what I mean? Always be able to go back and find your old stuff and say, yeah, they wasn't putting out no bullshit. That was my big thing. You know, I always was willing to pay a premium to get the best possible product that I can afford.
You want to be proud of it still. You know, you want to put something out that you're still proud of, like that. Like maybe it wasn't the tightest, hottest, best sounding shit, but when you go back and listen to it, you're like, I did that. You know, like you're still proud of it.
Yep, absolutely. Look, if anybody goes to the Bandcamp and they find a destination, actually, no, that's not even a lie. All Zip Squad projects are now on streaming platforms. Took me a decade. At the time, you know, there wasn't an option. It was all on Bandcamp or SoundCloud. All of our stuff is there. If you go listen to Destination on Just As Promised, you'll be like, yo, these dudes were dope. And they had ideas. With that said, you know what I mean?
Hey, yo,
I got to the point where I was like, here's what I'm going to do.
Can I make a comment real quick? Yeah, because I feel like...
always.
If Zip Squad... And this is coming just from from my point of view as like not knowing you, just connected on Twitter, and I'm like trying to do this interview, and I'm Google searching, and I only have your Twitter, and I couldn't find more stuff other than the Bandcamp, right? So and obviously it's because it's under Zip Squad. So I feel like if it's gonna be under Zip Squad, then maybe you should push Zip or make Zip Squad like more accessible or more front and center, because then I could have went to like the Spotify or the iTunes. Like now I know when I do the description, I'm gonna link to all your Zip Squad shit, but it just feel like it was hard to find the bigger thing, you know?
Well, here's the dope. Well, what I did when I put everything up, I made sure that I put each, and this is a part of that idea about making sure that artists can always be found. You know what I mean? I put up everybody's name, including mine. So it may come up as Zip Squad, but if you type in Scorcese, like every single thing that I've done will pop up. I've been real, and this is the learning process about making sure. So even if, and this is what I mean, right? Like if I type in Brian Ennals, it might pop up with his new stuff, Infinity Knives, but you'll also, oh wait, what's this? Just As Promised. Wait, lifestyle music. What are all these EPs? Black superhero music. I didn't even know Brian made this. And then hopefully when they click on it, now they listen to Hasa. Now they listen to Pimp C. Now they listen to, you see what I'm saying? Long Nights, Cold Champagne, and Weed Smoke. Like there's so many like dope records. And this was a part of this, why I waited a bit to put it on streaming, because I didn't exactly know how to market it. Do I market it as Zip Squad, which is, again, it's a conglomerate of people that just kind of working together. It's a music collective, you know. And then when I got ready to do my own stuff, which is truthfully what happened with the Zip Squad, was everybody was like, yo, we're ready to do a solo project. And I wasn't really ready to do a solo project. I was like, fuck, I wanted to do this other. Yeah, that again, that's my confidence talking. You know what I mean? But it also led to the idea, and it really kind of led me down the path of the type of music I make now. Was getting a chance to hear that, because before, you know, you go back, you listen to a lot of the stuff I did on the Zip Squad EPs. It's pretty, you know, basic Philly fare, you know, a lot of punchlines, a lot of bars, you know what I mean, real heavy structure. But at that point, when they were like, yo, we're gonna do the solos, so Brian Ennals went to go do Candy Cigarettes, and Big Spit Game did I Can Make Your Shit Tighter. I was like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? And it was funny. One of my homies, he sent me a link to an old wrestling promo. It was Triple H. He was cutting a promo on Lita. And I was like, yo, I want to use that promo in a song. Like I want to just take this one piece where he's talking shit, and I want to use it as like a hook. And for my money, I had never heard anybody do this. You know what I mean? Like anywhere. And I was like, man, it would be so dope. And so I hit my man Lito, like, yo, Lito, I need a beat for this. I need something real dope. I was listening to Mark Berg real heavy, a lot of Rock Marcy at the time. And so I was like, yo, I need a real sample, minimalist. Give me something that I can just rap on. You know what I mean? And so he sent me the beat, and we did this record called The Promo, which has that little Triple H joint on it. And it came out so dope. I was like, yo, Lito, what if we did a little EP? You know, you produce it. Give me like 3 to 5 records. I'll just do 3 to 5 records. And when I said I was gonna do it, now Alfie hits me up. He's like, yo, Shells, I got a joint for you. It was called Trish Stratus. And he sent me this beat. And oh man, Monday Night Raw is one of my favorite songs ever. And so I did that. And it was this real smooth, up-tempo joint. And then we just started doing it. By the time we got done, it emerged from just like an EP. It's like this fully formed
A
like
record.
idea.
It was
like,
a record. Yeah, it was a fucking
Yeah.
album. Yeah.
I'm gonna call it what it is, man. Like it's a classic. And I watched it change a lot of people's opinions on both. Cause like understand, like at this particular time when Twitter's out and people made fun of the cats who sat and watched wrestling on TV. Why y'all watching that fake shit? You know it's not real, right? And I'm crying because I'm like, y'all motherfuckers is watching Love and Hip Hop. Nigga, suck a dick. Like, what are we doing? You can't come at me on some bullshit. Like you're watching reality TV, but you're gonna tell me the shit that I know is fake. I can't enjoy it. The fuck out of here. So yeah, I was like, no, I'm gonna do this, and I reimagined it. The idea was that like Stone Cold Steve Austin was a criminal, you know what I mean, and he's falling slower and slower into like decay, like his soul is decaying, you know what I mean, because he sold his soul. He sold his soul to Vince McMahon to win the title, and Triple H is riding shotgun. So we ended up creating this joint called 2-Man Power Trip. It's one of my favorite records ever. I believe it's a classic. I believe anybody who listens to it will sit and listen to it and go, holy shit. I'm a better rapper now than I was when I made that. But I still contend that album probably has some of my best like written work. There's so much stuff. Even now when I go back and listen to it, I go, yo, I was rapping my ass off.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
well,
So
I mean,
that's-
like that. Sometimes it's just more, and this like conversations I have with my homies, right? When we like, I'm in a rap collective, we all write with each other, and we be sharpening our sword, like we be going kung fu at each other, and sometimes it always comes up like, damn, I feel like some of my old shit is more potent or more powerful or like it's more free. Like there wasn't that added like weight and layers of like responsibility and family and money and making it, like there's it's so much more now. When you make a song, it's not just like, let me just rap, it's like, what's the video gonna look like, and what's the photo gonna be, and what's the concept, and how are we gonna build a whole campaign around it. And
see, that's the weird part though with me. Like all that shit is easy. Like how I want to present it is easy. For me, it's always second. Like one of my homies, Khalid, shout out to Fat Cousin. He told me, I sent him the project, and the first thing he told me was like, yo, like when you release this, you're gonna limit the number of people who are gonna listen to you. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, this type of writing isn't like for regular people. They're good. You have to listen to this over and over and over again to peel back every single layer. And I actually, somebody told me that, Griff told me that a couple of days ago. It's like, yo, your raps are like an onion. You got to just keep peeling the layers back. Because he's like, there's stuff that you don't get, and then you're going to go back and you're going to go live life, and then it's going to pop up, and you're going to go, oh shit, that's what that motherfucker was talking about. It's just going to pop up. And I'm like, I'd rather rap for them. You know what I mean? And it set me down that path as a solo artist of like, I can do this type of rap, and it's cool.
I don't want to like downplay that or minimize it at all, but I almost feel like you could say that about any song or anything you listen to, like sometimes like when you're young, like a lot of the stuff we grew up listening to that our parents used to put on for us, we liked it then, you know, and like it made us feel a certain way. But then you hear it when you're older, and it's just a whole different thing. It's like you get, and I mean, I feel like even now artists that I was listening to, the vibe might be different, but I feel like the life lessons is always based on who's listening to it, you know? Like what you take from it is always like based on who's listening to it. It doesn't matter how many gems you drop. And I think like the new wave of rap actually shows that, right? Is like people find so much meaning in the simple. People find so much meaning in the simple shit. And it's because it's like it's always placed on whoever's listening to it to associate meaning and depth and understanding to the art, you know?
I don't disagree with that as a concept, right? The idea that, you know, people are going to associate what they want to associate. But for me, it's always like, yo, if I write this line and I'm thinking about like, how does this line connect with lines like 2 lines before? How does it really kind of expand upon, like, so my degree is in English. You know what I mean? So I think about words all the time, and I think about like, why do I want to use this word instead of this word? And sometimes this shit becomes like even paralyzed when I'm writing, because my writing, instead of me just kind of being more melodic or playful or just say how you feel, you know what I mean? There's a record on Black superhero music called Dear Father that I just freestyled. I just walked up to the mic and I just said whatever I felt like, and I hated it. And everybody in the room, every single person in the room was like, yo, if you delete that shit, we're going to fuck you up. It's perfect.
So wait,
because it's expression of art.
Why do you think you hated it though? Because you didn't, and let me finish. Why do you think you hated it? Was because you didn't think it was thought out, and it was sloppy, and it was quick, and it was like maybe not the most technical or the most or was it the fact that it was too raw, and it was like this unrefined, like uncut gem, you know? So what was it about it that made you hate it?
Definitely the former. Sitting down and looking, and because mentally, man, I never want somebody to listen to something that I do and go, he's all right. You know what I mean? Like I pride myself. I pride myself on my bars. I pride myself on what I'm saying.
But see, like that,
and that's what's hard. That's what I mean by that. I talk about that confidence thing. That's what I mean, right?
But see, I feel like the confidence thing is because you're associating it, like you're associating your performance with what other people are gonna think about it, and that is not an objective truth. It's super subjective. So, and I'll tell you, like, you might think you go off on some shit, and you might think you went super in, and everything was high level technical, and all the fucking punchlines and everything was there, references, and then someone will hear it and be like, that's all right.
And I think what you're talking about right there, that was what I had to kind of break myself of that idea about like, yo, what if somebody doesn't like this? What if somebody hears this and they go, I don't know, it's cool. Because that right there, that's what happened when we did Just As Promised. And there were some people who were like, Shells is cool, but we really like Big Spit Game, or Brian Reynolds is way better, da-da-da-da-da. Shells is cool. And it used to eat at me because I was like, yo, man, I'm rapping and I'm really dope, and why don't they get it? And then I kind of realized that it was a waste of time. And I think that Dear Father moment of them just like listening and going, yo, bro, you touched my heart with that shit. And learning how to, and shout out to the homie Zilla Rocca. He told me the same shit. Yo, keep everything. Don't delete. That was one thing I had to learn. Don't delete shit in the studio. Because sometimes your first shit is probably your rawest shit. And because in your mind, like, oh, I didn't say the word the, I should have said the, or did like this. And now you fuck around and spend an hour in the studio trying to fix one word, and the only person you rapping is the audience of you. You know what I mean?
But
and
like as an artist,
these are lessons that I've learned over time.
You're your worst critic though as an artist. Like you're your worst critic as an artist, you know? Like
absolutely.
And you have to be at some point, but everything comes with balance, and there has to be a sense of like compassion and understanding. And I think I've really found this recently is that like I got to that point where I'm like, yeah, people might think I'm whack, so then I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want. And whoever thinks it's tight, they're gonna think it's tight. And like whoever thinks it's whack, they're
Yep.
gonna think it's whack. And I'm just gonna be, and I noticed that, you know, your description was like wrestling references, offbeat, fucking, you know, these type of samples. And so yeah, you're in your own lane. So why care? You know,
Yep.
and just go in and don't associate so much worth to other people's opinions, you know?
Oh, I agree. Like that's I think that lesson right there is probably the biggest one from Two Man Power Trip until now was that, you know, because I was upset. Like, well, so the Two Man Power Trip cover is actually Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the classic Raekwon pose from Only Built for Cuban Links. You know what I mean? It's a really I love the art. My homie Infinite Mind Warp did it, and I watched here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area where I live now. I watched artists start doing the same thing. You know, now all of a sudden the dude is posting a joint with a Shawn Michaels sample, or a dude is taking this, or a dude is, and you're just like, yo, you know, like for me, I'm just doing this as a I just want to make music. You know what I mean? And I'm watching people kind of take it. So it was like I'm listening to these dudes, and I'm like, they're not better than me, but why do people like this shit? And then I had to let it go. I had to let that go because that shit was paralyzing. You know what I mean? Like the idea that I know I'm better than this dude, but why don't people rock with it? To now with Catchpoint, I had a wild ass migraine like 2 days ago, like the day I dropped Catchpoint. You know, dropped the remix project, the Dream Team, and I couldn't even promote it the way I wanted to promote it. I had to shut everything down. I woke up the next day to like 40 emails. People are just, you know, purchasing Catchpoint
That
or
shit was cracking.
showing support or moving it. And
That shit's cracking, bro.
yeah, and it was crazy. Like I was like, yo, this shit is so dope. And you know what I mean? I'm, you know, even then, like I got the lights off. I got my hoodie on because I'm in the house and trying to,
Your
you know,
head's pounding and
pounding.
sound, light, sensitivity. Yeah.
Right. All that shit. The vertigo was kicking in, and I was just like, but I was so geeked because I was shocked, like, yo. And now, like, even now, like, you know, I keep seeing people like talk about it, and it shit blew my mind because it lets me know that like what I've been doing is working and is resonating. You know what I mean? So fuck the people who ain't listening.
Yeah, and
you know, not in a negative way.
No, yeah, definitely. Like, no. I mean, wish them all the best, but you know, they're not giving you their best, so why do you care? But yeah, let's transition into Catchpoint. It's a remix record. A remix of what? Am I missing something? Like every track is a remix, but what are y'all remixing? Are they your own songs? Are those big songs that have flown under my radar? Like what exactly are those remixes? You know.
This is the Dream Team. The Dream Team is myself and Jason Griff, producer.
Jason Griff, whoop.
Yeah, shout out to Jason Griff. I hate that motherfucker. I hate my own producer. I make sure I tell everybody that shit all the time.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to my boy Richie Jams because I hate that fool too. But he's like responsible for some of my most fire records.
You feel me? Exactly. That's what pisses me off. I gotta look, man. Fuck Jason Griff.
Fuck Richie Jams.
Yeah, I mean, you always dope as shit to other motherfuckers, man. That's the worst shit ever. You hear a dope Jason Griff beat, like, damn, you couldn't email me that? Nah. So check this out, right? About a year and a half ago, give or take, me and manager, wrestler extraordinaire, Stokely Hathaway. He's now on NXT as Michael Bivens. He's the guy, very top of my shirt right here. You know what I'm saying? He and I kind of got together, and I was like, yo, I want to write a song, like an entrance song for you. So when you walk out to the ring, they'll play it. And he was like, yo, that would be a dope idea. Would you don't mind? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I wrote this song called Blood on the King's Sleeve. And he would, every time he came out to the ring, like that would play. And so as a pro wrestling fan, and somebody who goes to a lot of independent wrestling shows,
That's tight.
it was always ill to kind of be in the crowd and you hear your voice come over like the speakers and people are clapping along to your song and they're like, yo, that shit is dope. Who the fuck is, and I would be like, yo, that's me. They're like, what? You know, and it was a great promo tool. You know what I mean? He would use my music in his videos on Twitter. He used one of my songs for him in Dallas as a, you know, it's like a segue joint. And I was like, yo, what if I did like a mixtape? You know, like I get like a couple of tracks, I go record a mixtape called the Dream Team, you know, which was at the time, it was the name of like his fictional like management group. You know what I mean? It was like the stable of wrestlers that he managed was the Dream Team. And he was like, yo, that would be ill. So I went and I started recording a couple of joints. I did this mean like 5-minute freestyle over like 3 Rick Ross beats called the Maybach Melody. I did this joint over the Kill Jill record that I can't. Yeah, you know that it was the Big Boy Killer Mike joint. And for whatever reason I can't upload it because the sample gets kicked every time I try. So it's vaporware now. And then I did like 2 or 3 other records. And while I was doing that at the time, I was also working on a remix project for my other album called The World Only Gods Know that me and Alfie did together.
And that was the last shit that I just heard that was like pretty fucking dope, bro. But that came out a while ago already though, right? Like,
yeah. So A World Only Gods Know came out 2 years ago now. A remix Only Gods Know, which is my first time really kind of like, yo, I want to remix a couple of songs that I did on this. What are your favorite? And I would ask the people who bought my record, I'd ask people on my Twitter, hey, what are the songs you really liked on this project? You know, and one of the big piece of feedback that I got from A World Only Gods Know, people were really kind of like afraid of like all the live instruments and shit. Like Gods Know is all live instruments. You know, there's some samples and stuff.
I mean, that's probably why I fuck with it. Because if you ever listen to my music, like it's live instrumentation heavy. Like that's like where I lean to. I started off with a band, so I always try to have live instrumentation. So that's probably why I like it so much.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite projects, man. I love that shit. But they were like, yo, what if you did like, and the homie Zilla again, he was like, yo, what if you did like some East Coast kind of like sample based shit with some of your joints? That way people go back and they hear those and they get this. So one of the people he linked me with was Jason Griff. And so Jason actually, if you go listen to the remix Only Gods Know, he actually remixed the title track, A World Only Gods Know. And I was sitting with him and he was like, yo, I really dig this. I like your sound. I was like, yo, thanks, bro. And kind of started connecting on like some human shit. You know what I mean? Well, he sent me this beat that eventually became the song called Death by Roll Up with Mr. Liff. It's on Dream Team, a Stokely Hathaway joint. And he was just like, yo, yeah, I sent you this beat. You don't got to do anything with it. And I always look at that as like a challenge. Anytime a producer sends you a beat, like you don't, not when you ask him, but when he sends it, you're like, I got to fuck this shit up. Because if I don't, or if I just sit on it. They're not going to send you
the next beat that they fucking think about you for. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I sat and I wrote this verse. You know, a gorgon, a viper, poisonous sniper, molding disciples, holding the rifle, cocoa my knife flow, watching it cycle. Like I was just spazzing, double time flow, it was real dope. And I went and I recorded it right away and I sent it to him, like immediately. And I didn't even have an idea for the hook. So I just took like the Stokely Hathaway sample that I had from a promo he did. I just added it. It's like, yo, that's the song. And he was just like, yo, this is nuts. And it just so happened that Jason's also like a big wrestling fan, independence and, you know, mainstream stuff. So he knew who Stokely was. And I was like, yo, what if you and I sat and we just turned the Dream Team mixtape into the Dream Team album? And he was like, yo, I'm down to do that. That sounds real ill. And that's how it got started, where we just started building this album. And so we went with the idea. Obviously, Stokely Hathaway he's a manager. He's a heel manager for those who don't know
So
the
wait,
lingo.
I'm sorry. Like, is this shit way over my head? Like, are all the
Go ahead.
titles and all the track names are all like wrestling references, and that's where the samples are coming. That's what the remix is about, or like, and the beats are original, but it's
So that's
like I'm confused still about where.
so all the no, I got you. So check this out. So Dream Team, the project, all of the song titles are wrestling. They're wrestling related, right? So like when I said like Bobby Heenan Dreams, Bobby Heenan, of course, was the manager. Robin Peter paying Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman, of course, is a manager. Slick, when I did the joint called Slick Talk, Slick was a former manager. All of them are those. The song I did with Vic Spencer called Flex Cavana. Flex Cavana was The Rock's original wrestling name before he became The Rock.
See, yeah, unless you know, you don't know.
So
right?
I wanted the idea to yeah, exactly. So when you go back and you hear it and you're like, dang, he said I'm pushing rock like Flex Cavana. You know what I mean? So like before you even know who I am, I'm somebody special. So we built it all off of that. And like the last song is called The Third Man, which is based off of like did you watch the Michael Jordan joint last night?
Last Dance. I'm not caught up, honestly. I'm still on only up on episode 6 or 7 or some shit, 8 maybe, but there's only 10, right?
Well, there's only 10.
Yeah,
the last story
I'm
they
probably
told
on like
actually
I'm
included
probably on like 6 then, honestly.
Oh well, shit! I don't want to burn it for you.
No, I mean, when I watch it, I'm still gonna get all emotional and cry and be all inspired. So yeah, just fucking. This is not about me, bro. Tell the people like make the reference. Fuck it.
Well, shit. Well, yeah. So the last song on the Dream Team is a record called The Third Man, which was based off of the original NWO, which is like they didn't know who the third man was. You got these two MCs. It was Zilla Rocca and the homie Curly Castro from the Wrecking Crew. And then me, I was the third man. Originally, I wanted to do something different, but we just ended up rocking like that. Well, people really dug the Dream Team. This was the first, me and Griff's first real like kind of outing. People were rocking with it. And me and Griff started working on a new project called Midnight Express. And so we knew we were going to have it done for at least, I think like another month. It's currently in mixing, mastering now. And we were like, yo, what if we do a remix project like we did with the Remix Only Gods Know? And so Catchpoint is actually the second heel group that Stokely Hathaway managed. So he had Dream Team, then he had Catchpoint, which is why the first project is called Dream Team.
That's the reference.
The second part is called Catchpoint. That's the reference for those who get it. And you go look it up. That's where that comes from. That's why after the Dream Team has to be Catchpoint. And so it started with Zilla actually.
So this is like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is like a deep concept album. Like this is like this little strand you're doing is like deeply conceptual. Like so it's like so conceptual that like it's its own niche, Like and you're talking to wrestling fans. Like this is a project for wrestling fans essentially.
This is a project for wrestling fans. It's a project for fans of, and that was the conversation that Griff and I had was like, the wrestling references, the stuff that people may or may not get, that's cool. But is it still the type of rap that we grew up on? And is it something that if I play for somebody who isn't a wrestling fan, will they like it? If they like, East Coast based boom bap hip hop shit. You know what I mean? Do they like ill references? Do they like dope rhymes? Do they like mean rhyme schemes? Do they like dope beats? From an East Coast base. We'll be real, like, And that was where we every time that we kind of wrapped around or like I would go off the reservation with some shit, he'd be like, nah, come back. Let's do this.
And so that was another question because you say East Coast based, and yeah, I heard a lot of East Coast shit. But Griff is from Chicago, am I right? Mm-hmm. But you don't get like a lot of the Chicago soul sound, like you don't really I mean, maybe I'm wrong because haven't heard enough records, but I don't feel like you get that typical Chicago sound that people relate with, like
So
soul samples, Kanye West, Chance the
that's
Rapper, Saba type shit.
yeah,
You know, like
absolutely. So Griff is, even though he's from Chicago, he spent a lot of time in New York. If you can, if you ask Griff yourself, he'll tell you a lot of his the stuff that he pulls from as far as like his own is like, like LP, Def Jux, the Fantastic Damage, Aesop Rock. He used to work with Mr. Liff, managing his website and stuff like that. So it's that definitely that more like darker New York underground sound. Now for me, that stuff is stuff that and truthfully, because like I said, I grew up on more like mainstream East Coast shit. You know what I mean? And I only really got back into that sound later on as I grew up. Again, that what you were talking about, right? Like make the music, and if it's good, people will come back and they'll recognize it. And that's so when you hear Griff sound, you hear a lot of that. And even for me, like when I send Griff samples, I'll be like, "Yo, Griff, this is what I want to hear." He may send it back chopped way different than I thought. I was like, "Yeah, I want you to do it like this," because it's a balance, and this is where like us building a friendship comes in, because I can say, "Yo, Griff, I like it if you do it like this," or I can send him a sample and he doesn't feel like, "Oh, this motherfucker sent me this shit.
hey,
I'm not doing that shit."
not only that though, just for I'm gonna be 100% transparent and honest. Like when we first started following each other, and I was looking at your tweets and the couple interactions we had, and I was thinking about having you as a guest, and I hadn't actually done any research yet. I thought you were a producer. Like I just that was the vibe I got. I got like a producer vibe, you know. And
Yeah.
now you're telling me,
See,
you do the sampling and you kind of have an idea of where like chops and breaks and hits go. So I feel like I
mhm.
got that vibe just off of like the things you would talk about, like
Good
as far as like the
looking.
versus battles and the comments you would make about music and pop music. Like I thought you were more of a producer than a
Yeah,
lyricist, honestly. And
absolutely. I can tell you. So, if I ever could have sat down and learned, I would have probably liked to be a producer, just because that shit is it's just interesting to me. Like watching producers make music is interesting as fuck to me. Like one of my closest friends, he always told me like, "Yo, you're the only person who can just sit and watch me like listen to 100 different snares,
as you're like,
like that shit." Yeah, and
yeah,
they're all
yeah,
so minuscule, and yeah, and he's just like, you like other like MCs, they're just like, "Man, just send it to me when it's done." I don't know a note. I can't play shit. I don't know how to do any of that. I ain't gonna act like I do, but I know it sounds good. You know what I mean? So that's where me and Griff kind of come in, where I'll hear something, I'm like, "Yo," like there's a Austin's Theory, aka the Limit Breaker, is the remix on Catchpoint. Like that little oh sound, you know what I mean? Like when he first sent me the beat, I was like, "Yo, you need to add that little like RZA, like ice water kind of sound to it." And he was like, "No, no, it sounds good." I'm like, "Bro, I'm telling you, if you add that, it's gonna change like the complexion of this record. Like
like
that
make it
little,
more
make it real
crunchy.
haunting and just
Yeah, yeah, make it a little bit more
yeah,
lo-fi, for lack of a better term, because lo-fi is something different now. But like back then, it's like literally
mhm,
like just like a low raw sample at a low sample rate that just kind of like sounds creepy because it's fucking a little off, you know?
exactly, exactly. And like that's where all those like sensibilities come in. You know what I mean? Like I like rapping over weird shit. I like rapping over regular shit too. But give me something that's gonna challenge me and make me kind of rap, a little off kilter, a little off beat. Like my favorite rappers were always the dude who sounded different on the record, for better or worse. You know what I mean? Like out of the Wu Tang, I love the RZA. Out of the Locks, I love Sheik. Out of Capone and Noriega, I love Nori. And Havoc, I like Havoc a little more than I like Prodigy, and not because they are like better MCs or different. They just sound like they were fucking enjoying themselves. You know what I mean? Like rap should be fun. Like making music should be fun. I've never gone to like a studio and not had fun. You know?
I mean I don't disagree with you But as someone who's like trying to live off music and who at some point sees this industry as a job, like there's definitely times where I'm doing shit for music, whether I'm writing, recording, or shooting some shit, and just because like I'm over it, like I'm not having fun, you know. But we gotta finish. We have a deadline, and there's like where there's a goal that we're trying to meet, and I take on that situation and be fucking professional and just get the shit done. And like, and sometimes it's not always fun, when you're doing the shit or trying or hoping or praying or working towards doing the shit as a high level. At some point, like there is a
That's a
moment
little
where
different
like,
though. I don't mean from the like the other like 98% of this shit. For the
yeah,
for the MC, like the fun shit is when you're in the studio, you could be drinking, smoking, you're making music, if you got your boys with you or somebody else with you, you're having a good time, because you want that energy, whatever it is you're trying to like relate. And when you get that song back and you're listening to yourself, and you're like, oh God, I'm so happy with this shit. That shit's fun. Now, all the other shit,
yeah, that's like
I
2
gotta get my
seconds. That's
shirt
like 2
ordered.
seconds of the whole shit. Right?
Yeah, no, that's why I said it's that 2% versus the 98%. Like the 98% is I'm dealing, I'm arguing with an engineer now about getting a song mixed the way I want it mixed, and the whole Corona got me. I can't go to LA to be like, yo, what's good? I already paid you. Like I need this shit done the way I want it done. You know what I mean?
So is
And
that
so,
something that you did often? Like you flew over to LA, you were in LA often? Like, or
not really, actually. That wasn't the first time. That's a lie. A World Only Gods Know was really no, I'm lying again. Shit. Black superhero music was the first time where I got to sit with the producer and make music. Usually it was, hey, send me the MP3, I'll write to it, I'll go record it, I'll zip down my files, I'll send them to you, I get the song back when it's done. Black superhero music was actually the first time I got to meet the entire Zip Squad in person. Like we were all in like the same room. We booked out a studio for 3 days in Atlanta, and we made that whole album. You know what I mean? Then for A World Only Gods Know, me and Alpha would meet up. At least like I think it was like 2 or 3 times a year. He would just make music. I would write or live and experience, and then we would get together and we would just make songs. You know. And then for the record I did with the homie Panels out in LA, I was like, I got a week off. How about I just come out there and record it with you? And we can sit in the studio, record, listen to it. You can tell me like what you like, what you don't. And it was beneficial because some of my delivery that I came in with, he was like, nah, I want you to do it like this. And he was like, oh, nah, flip this. You know what I mean? And it's very rare that like I go into the studio and get produced. You know what I mean? I tend to do all the producing. Like even like I got a session on Saturday with the Nation Gang, which is an offshoot of the Zip Squad. I got to produce in there. You know what I mean? I don't get to have fun. I'm going to be rapping, but most of it's going to be like, yo, we got to get this done.
Yeah,
at this
you're
time.
gonna be like the project manager and making sure
Correct.
that people are doing what they got to do and the time limits met
Correct.
and all that shit.
Correct. Making sure everybody's on point, that we're getting stuff done, and the money that we're spending is being spent properly. You know what I mean? And
I feel you.
that comes from that.
So can we transition real quick because you said you're working right now, and obviously like we're living in a wild time and in like the in unprecedented times, and so coronavirus shit, like you're an essential worker, you're working, you're not having any kind of financial troubles right now, and was music a source of income and now it's not, or was music always just like something that you were just doing heavy on the side that it didn't matter if it was profiting shows or merch or whatever. So I'm just curious about your whole financial situation, living situation,
No,
if you're being safe, if
that's a
anybody's,
good question.
has been like infected by, like,
Yeah.
how have you been affected by Corona musically? And, if you have a 9 to 5, if you're essential, like, what's that experience been like?
Well, it's funny. Coronavirus has given me both like additional time, and it's also thrown me off. Like I'm routine oriented. You know what I mean? Like I get up at a certain time, I leave the house at a certain time, I get to my desk at a certain time, all that. Now I work from home, and functionally, my the way my job is set up, I really only work when I'm needed. Um, and with the school year kind of closing out, I'm good. So I'll be paid the remainder of my contract. I haven't missed any money or anything, um, which has been dope. It's allowed me to really kind of like spend time with my kids. I've been able to play video games again. You wake up in the morning not feeling stressed out. I can grab a cup of coffee and just sit on my porch, on my old man shit, and kind of think. I can go for a walk and write a rap, play music. One thing it did force me to do though was purchase my own recording equipment in the house. Traditionally, my studio is up in Baltimore. Shout out to the homie Money Most, Fly Zone Studios. And this is he's the same engineer. He's been recording me for almost a decade now. You know what I mean?
See,
Like I go to him,
that's
I
the
trust
crazy
him.
shit about the East Coast, is that, like, it's so dense over there, and like it's easy to cross so many states that, like, you have people from technically
Mhm.
different regions who are so accessible by just like a short travel. That shit's wild.
Exactly. And I could go there and I could just sit with him for 8, 9, 10 hours, whatever it is, and just make music. And the best part is that we've been working together for so long, I don't have to say certain shit. You know what I mean? So like if I walk out the booth and I just finished a verse and I'm like, damn, maybe I said, he's like, you already fixed it. I know what you're about to say. That the third word here, I nudged it for you. I did this little, I added effect to it. He's already
Yeah,
done the
yeah, yeah.
shit.
He know, like,
And it,
he knows
it's
your
always funny because
style
then when
and
I
your
work with other
sound.
engineers
Yeah.
and they don't do that shit, and I'm like, yo, this shit, what are you doing? Which I always got to kind of check my privilege for that because, again, I ain't gonna tell them that your shit just fell out on us. You know what I mean?
I will though. I will though. I was about to. Nah, and here's the shit. Here's the shit is like my brother works in IT, right? And so our complex has
Mhm.
like high level Wi-Fi, and so usually when calls drop and shit, I'm like, that was your shit, it wasn't my shit. But homie hit me up like, yo, the shit dropped, and I was like, damn, it was my shit this time.
Let's go.
All right, so
You know what I mean?
right before
Every
we,
once in a while.
yeah, every once in a while, it's my fault for sure. All right, right before we drop though, we were talking about how coronavirus has affected your process. You used to have a dope ass producer who knew your vibe, knew where you wanted your edits, knew how you liked your shit to sound and where it liked to be at. And then you had to invest in your own equipment and do your own recording, and that's where you're at right now. So what has that been
Yeah.
like?
Oh, shit. Back to that feeling of like, man, am I doing this shit right? You know what I mean? Like when you're learning a new skill, or I guess in my case, like I've recorded vocals before, like on a little inbox setup, and it was pretty simple. But recording yourself is a whole nother animal because now you're listening. Like I don't even got somebody else I can bounce it off of. You know what I mean? Like, yo, tell me what you think about this. I got to judge myself. And so when you're at that point where you're like, oh, is this good? Is this bad? Or, you're not getting that instant like in studio feedback, like somebody like bobbing their head or the stone face of like, yo, this shit is awful. And then you're like, okay, I know it's bad. I can go back. And then just like the technical side of it, like, do the vocals sound good? Are they clean? Can somebody mix them if I give them to them? So just again, learning new shit. And, I'm doing like a ton of research on, the best place to put my mic and what should I have covering around it? Should I, all that shit.
So you had never
But
done any kind of engineering or like any kind of managing the board recording in any session before, where you were the one actually like hitting record and kind of like telling people to do it again, or fucking with the levels. You never did any of that before this?
super basic. When I was working with the Carolina boys, we had bought an inbox setup. I think it was like an inbox one, inbox two. I remember we bought it. We got the whole setup, computer, inbox, off of eBay. I think we paid like $600 for the whole thing. And it wasn't nothing too good, but we were able to get that's actually I ended up getting shot. We recorded their project at their house. And when we were taking the hard drive to the studio to get it mixed, that shit happened.
And is that
But
just
yeah,
because the
that
studio
was
was in a neighborhood? Oh, you know what? We were trying not to get into that, huh? My bad.
it's all good. Nah, the studio was it was
Like because that
the
means
studio
then,
was off of Sheriff Road.
yeah, you know what? Let's not, because then I'm gonna have to ask you if you're affiliated, and we don't gotta go there. We don't gotta go
Nah,
there.
we good money. We good money. Respect.
So, are you working on a new project right now, or what have you been doing
Yeah.
during Rona musically? Like, you got the studio, or you still have shit that was like lined up that you're trying to keep your own personal deadlines on, or are you creating like new music in this situation?
Yes.
What's happening?
So one of the before Corona landed, I'd actually already canned 4 projects, not including Catchpoint. So the project I did, of course, in LA with panels on the East Hampton Polo boys. We call that the summer catalog. Then the new project me and Griff have, excuse me, and that's entitled Midnight Express. So the Midnight Express, the concept is it was a older tag team, and the third member of the tag team always would switch. The constant was always the manager and the main wrestler guy or whatever.
So this is still wrestling references, essentially. The Midnight.
Not as much. Not as much. It was more of the idea of what the Midnight Express represented. The Midnight Express was one of the best tag teams of like ever. You know what I mean? Like you ask anybody, they'll bring them up. But the key to them was that third person always rotated. So for the 9 songs, 8 of them have a guest. So it's me and like a guest with the constant being the production. And all rappers, all artists say this shit, but I love this record. I can't wait for people to hear it.
But this one you recorded yourself and you're doing your own vocals and you're sending it out and everybody, this is like a quarantine record, or is this pre-quarantine? This was already done. Okay.
It was pre-quarantine. We finished it up. It's just now in the process of getting mixed and mastered. Shout out to Steel Tip Dove. He's doing that right now. The third record is the Nation Gang, the Domination album. So Nation Gang is me, PR the Great, Black, and Big Spit Game. We got production from Sonny Jim, production from The Expert, production from Chileon Davis, and there's one more person. Oh, panels and Wavy to God. So this is a real East Coast heavy sample-based project. We had did 2 mixtapes already, and they were like pure like East Coast style mixtapes over other people's beats. Those are on SoundCloud. You can find those. And then the last project is with a producer from the UK, Rigger Romes. It's called Sinners in the Sun, SON. Real personal project that we're just kind of waiting to get that mixing process started. With my equipment, the stuff I've been recording, it's actually just been guest verses. I've literally just been like telling, like I tweeted every morning.
You're doing features right now. You're just knocking out features right now.
Just knocking out features, anything like, yo, I ask producers.
You charging
ask
for
anybody. Them? Nope, not right now. I want to get that out there where it's like, yo, holla at your boy. You already know, holla at your boy. I'm a believer, like, if the first thing I give you is good enough, the second time around, we can talk. you know, and I don't say that I'm Scorsese, man. If I can't paint pictures, if I can't write, if I can't create, and so it's led to a lot of opportunities. I did a record with Iceberg Theory, who's really kind of, his name is rising right now. I did a song with the homie Luke Killer, called Wrestling Fans, and he sent me some new stuff that I'm gonna work on. I did some verses for a couple of other MCs. Just anybody, like, yo, if you got an open verse, send it to me. Tell me the topic. I guarantee you, within 12 hours, you'll get the verse back.
Okay.
Because I
That's
got
a
nothing to do.
guarantee. Damn.
And it's gonna be heat. I don't send no bullshit. I don't put my name on nothing that I can't guarantee the person's not gonna say, yeah, I'm glad I reached out to you. You know what I mean? That's really what I've been doing. Like, yo, just send me something and I'll get to it. If you're working on a compilation project, if you just need a verse.
So you're one of those artists that like had shit stacked up. So when this hit, you kind of had shit ready to drop regardless, right? While other people were kind of like maybe in the middle of something or about to work on something, your shit was kind of like you already had it like done and ready to go. Now you're doing features and shit. So essentially, like, what do you see for the future of, like, is there a bunch of stuff? I figure if you have stuff stacked up, you probably had stuff that you were planning to do, right? So is there stuff that you're still planning to do that you're going to get done while you recording yourself, or are you going to wait until you and your boy can meet back up to like finish other projects that you had in the shoot?
Nah, I am of the opinion, the way I'm kind of looking at this music and kind of presenting this music, me and Griff, we're calling this shit winning season. You know what I mean? We want this to be our winning season. You know how you have like those, to use a sports analogy, that rebuilding team. And, your first year, you got the rookies and they got to get through the rookie mistakes. Second year, they should be playing a little bit better. By that third and fourth and fifth year, they should be reaching their prime. You know what I mean? And we're at that stage now. We should be reaching our prime. Dream Team was the rookie season. We got that Rookie of the Year honor. Then we dropped Catchpoint. Catchpoint gets that. Now, I mean, so I'm not even gonna lie to you. So seeing the buzz behind Catchpoint has re-energized me entirely. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to make sure. So like you and Griff and the wrestling kind of homage references, like that's the path forward for you right now, and that's kind of what y'all are gonna keep dropping, or is there?
So Griff and I. So it's myself, Jason Griff, and the homie Alex Ludovico. We call ourselves the Fedora Boys. And we have really been kind of talking about like how we want to present like our music going forward. Again, I'm always kind of forward thinking with like how I want these Jones to be pushed and presented, because it matters. You know what I mean? How each project rolls out. Like East Hampton Polo Boys doesn't sound like anything that me and Griff are doing. You know what I mean? Sinners in the Sun doesn't sound like East Hampton Polo Boys. But then you hear Midnight Express. Midnight Express has that. You can clearly see like, okay, Dream Team, Catchpoint, Midnight Express is this really different thing. And then when we get the Fedora Boys and we drop that, it's gonna be like, oh, we see what they were doing. And again, it's all about building a stable, strong catalog of constant growth. You know what I mean? Even like the Nation Gang project, that right there is us really kind of diving into like this certain chamber of music and saying we're gonna, like Boat Shoes or Toast, and it's real opulent and lush, and you know what I'm saying? Again, a couple of instruments, a lot of samples, real heavy drums, and really just and lyrics and bars, and we want you to feel something. We want you to hopefully put Nation Gang on that Domination project at the cookout.
So
what I mean?
What you're saying is you're gonna keep the diverse sounds and styles and different arrangements of artists and MCs, and like that's gonna continue to be something that you grow in. But the shit you're dropping with Griff right now is like at a mature stage, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's gonna be the end all of what you do. You're still keeping it. Open to all these other styles and all these other combinations and collaborations and all that shit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man. I tell all producers, one thing I pride myself on is being able to write what they want. You know what I mean? I'm not a commercial dude. I'm not doing this to blow up and be a commercial artist or famous or anything like that. I want to make music that people like. I want to make music that you listen to, that you work out to. I want to make music that you throw your headphones on when you're having a shitty day and you just, you know what I mean? And you just want to think.
That's just a crazy trajectory. You went from the dude who didn't think his raps were good enough or didn't have the confidence to actually drop a record to now saying I could rap whatever people want to hear me rap, and that's like,
yep.
That's a whole life journey, that's a trip to see that progression, just in this conversation, to see that progression, from like where you came from and where you're at now, where like you didn't even want to rap before and now you're just like, I can rap on anything. Like that's some real growth, and that's some inspirational shit right there.
I mean, I can tell you, a lot of that came from Dream Team and Catchpoint. I'm rapping with some of my own personal favorite MCs, people that I like to listen to. And these are dudes that before I was like, man, I don't want to reach out to them to ask for a verse because, in my head, I was already talking myself out of it. Versus like, fuck that, your pen is good enough. And when I got that feedback, even from, like I said, Catchpoint, me and the homie Alaska Adams. If you don't know Alaska Adams, world famous Adams Family, Hangar 13, Def Jux, he's on the fucking Cold Vein. You know what I mean? He's on the fucking Cannibal Ox. like he's a fucking legend. And, he tells me, yo, Shells, I like when you said this is dope.
That's the ultimate validation and shit.
That's the ultimate validation. Like there's you can't tell me shit. This motherfucker rap with Vortal. You feel what I'm saying?
I feel you. Oh. All right. So we've been rocking out for over an hour now, and I wanted to bring it back just so we can give you a proper exit and outro. But there's one thing that I wrote down on my notes that I haven't touched on, and I just want to bring it up. I came across a record with Killer Mike on it. Am I mistaken that you did a record with Killer Mike?
Yes, sir.
So if you want to just, that shit, as I was, as a rapper and someone, doing research and, you're a guest, and I have a lot of respect for Killer Mike outside of music and all that. So I'm just curious, what, how did that come about? What's that relationship like? And did that record do something for you and your reputation? Did he push it, or did how? Let me know. I'm curious about how that whole thing worked out. Was it just a pay to jump on and that was it, or was there a real relationship right there where y'all know each other? What does that look like?
Yeah. So the record is called Untitled. It's on The World Only Gods Know. The technical title is Hell on Earth. I named it Hell on Earth originally, but then Prodigy died, and I felt like I don't want to name something after that man. So we just switched the title to Untitled. Features Killer Mike and Pastor Troy. It's the third verse on the record. And what happened was that I ran into Killer Mike's manager at the time. I think he's got a new one now, or whatever. And for those. My cell phone number is it's a 912 number, which is the Savannah area code. And I've had his number since I've been in college, because at this point it's almost 15 years old. And when I text him and I was like, yo, Killer Mike, I'm looking for, I got this song idea. I would love to get him on it. And he saw the number and he's like, oh shit, you're from Savannah? I was like, sure, I'm from Savannah. Why not? Why not? Fuck it, I'll be from Savannah.
But you're not from Savannah.
Nah. My mother and my father, they retired. They live there now. So technically, but no, I'm not
No,
from Savannah.
you didn't live there, you didn't grow
Um,
up there or whatever, but
no, no, no,
but there
no,
was that
no. I don't know
connection. There
shit
was
about
that
Savannah.
connection, like the universal shit, right?
Yep, correct. And he was like, "Yo, what's the idea? Send me the song." So I sent him the original beat, which was done by the homie Lito, the original hook and everything. And he heard it and he was like, "Yo, this shit is dope." And he's like, "What's your budget?" And I was like, I shaky, you know what I mean? I was like, what's a Killer Mike? And understand, this is Killer Mike. This is pre Run the Jewels. You know what I mean? This is Pledge 1, Pledge 2, Pledge 3 Killer Mike.
Oh, so this isn't like the reborn re-pop culture icon Killer Mike. This is like this is before he had his like
16 in the kitchen Killer Mike.
Re-emergence as okay. So
listen, I have Killer Mike is on my record, not Run the Jewels Killer Mike. Like that Killer Mike. Like,
but it's funny that you put Run the Jewels in parentheses because you gotta. You know that you gotta say it like that's the same one, but
he's a different artist.
But it's not. Yeah, his level and like what, for lack of a better term, like clout or persona or
correct.
pop culture.
I'll say it like this: the people that listen to Killer Mike now, they don't remember I Pledge Allegiance to the Grind Killer Mike,
and they probably wouldn't fuck with your record if they
and they wouldn't. Well, no. They'll fuck with the record, but they wouldn't fuck with this Killer Mike because he doesn't sound the same. The aggression is different. All that shit is different. The energy that he has is different because this is the Killer Mike that was still, I don't want to say hungry, but yeah, he was still kind of in that phase of like, people don't think that I'm as dope as I know I am.
People weren't listening yet. People weren't listening.
They weren't listening. I've always related to that.
Trying to be heard.
Yes.
So once you become heard, your sound changes because you can afford that and shit. Or you change your sound to be heard, right? Which might be a more accurate. Like Run the Jewels was a whole like revitalization project, right? That like made.
Let's call it what it is. Rap music, the joint that came before Run the Jewels. That's probably the last like Killer Mike project. Where it's just Mike rapping like Mike. He's still doing the shit that he wants to do over LP production versus LP is producing him and saying, "Yo, Mike, this is what we're talking about. Let's get on this two-way, you know what I'm saying, black owned and operated shit that he's doing." It was just cool. Like I like Run the Jewels. I love rap music. Rap music is one of my favorite projects I ever did. But if you ask me right now, bro, like I'll listen to Pledge Allegiance to the Grind too before I listen to anything else that he does because it's my favorite shit. Well, anyway, Mike, he heard it, and originally Mike was only going to do 8 bars, for what I could afford. And his manager loved it so much, he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna talk to him. He's gonna give you a 16."
That's tight.
Because he was fucking with it. And I got the joint back. He did this, "Welcome to hell where you are welcome to sell a priceless soul for fame and cheap gold." Like he bodies it. And I ended up going back, rewriting my verse so it matched what he was talking about.
Yeah. I see that.
You know what I'm saying? And so the joint came out so crazy.
Nah, it was a nice song. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Killer Mike is the reason why I want to listen to it. But once I heard it, like, it didn't matter that he was even on it, And like you said, I didn't even really recognize his voice or presence in that way. It definitely has like a fucking vibe to it, and I'm just like, it's a good track, And like, yeah, everybody did their thing on it. So,
what killed me, and it's unfortunate because he's heard it. He's actually told me he's like DM'd me and told me like, "Yo, I really fuck with it. I like it a lot." But he just, it's not because it's not. I don't want to say he's corporate, but he's getting Netflix checks now.
It's not on brand. It's not on brand.
It's not on brand anymore. You can't. Dog, he's rapping about making a deal with the devil. Like, he's not gonna talk about that shit anymore. You know
when
what I
he
mean?
literally made that deal, maybe, but you know, he's buying his way to heaven right now. Like a bunch of like, he's doing the Lord's work, you know. But you know, you got to sign a couple of contracts to be able to do the Lord's work and shit. But
he's getting stadium checks now. You know what I mean?
And attention and a platform and being able to like you know, put a magnifying glass on places that need attention and funding and all. Hey,
I agree.
I fuck with him, like I said, more than just the music. And
Yep.
I just thought that was dope that I saw you had a verse with him, and I wanted to know like the whole
Thank
deal
you.
with. But yeah, I mean, it's not. I guess like in this day and age, it's not. I don't want to say it's not hard to get a verse, but it's easier, right? It's a lot easier to reach out to people. Like their information is out there. Usually, most people have a price. Like they're down to just take a check to drop a verse. So,
yeah,
it's not. I respected the fact that they. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I respected the fact that they vetted it, that he listened to it because
and fucked with it, and he was talked into doing a 16 because of the sound and the quality and the message and whatever the fuck was going on.
And then you know we ended up getting Pastor Troy. He anchors the project. You know what I mean? And Pastor Troy brings it home. Like if you ever heard Vice Versa or anything like that, he was just the perfect way to kind of bring that entire sound home. And you know, I can say like I got a song with Pastor Troy. I have a song with Killer Mike. I got a record with Big Rube from the Dungeon Family. You know what I mean? And this shit it brings me, A World Only God Knows brings me immense joy. I love that fucking record so much.
And I'm glad you sent it to me, man. And I'm glad like I was able to go on that rabbit hole and see like all the different projects and teams and different like facets and concepts and sounds. And it was cool. Like I didn't have a lot of time, obviously, because, you know, but from what I got, like I was more excited to chat it up with you. Well, because a lot, you know,
it's all good.
I mean, I'm not, and this is no offense to you, but like a lot of people will say like, yo, I've been doing music a long time. We can talk about anything, you know, like, and then you try to chat with them and they don't have that, like, I'm down to talk about anything vibe and can like mold and jump and like, you know, take advantage of a question and run with it until, you know, it goes to its final point. And it like, and I just had an earlier podcast today with a podcaster who he said the same thing. It's like, you know, the shows always get cut short when the guest like doesn't have shit to talk about and is not good at like expanding and trying to like get the most out of every question and answer it from all angles. And you did a really good job of that, man. And not knowing you and meeting you through this medium and getting to hear your voice and your passion and your journey, like it's been dope. Like, and I feel like now I'm more likely to listen to your music and recommend your music, and like I feel like a more connection, you know. And I hope whoever's listening, your people and all the name drops and shout outs, I hope all those folks can hear like how appreciative you are, and you know how like you make sure you give everybody love. And it's rare, you know, like some people just name drop for clout, but you just name drop just because those are the folks who are part of the journey. And it doesn't matter if I knew them or if anybody knew them, or it's just like you wanted to make sure you put them out there, and that's special, man, you know. So this is your chance right here to wrap it up. Shout out whatever you want, links, social media, anything, bro. Go for it.
Oh, man. All right, check it out, man. It's your boy, Scorcese. We stacking chips on record, crushing every single enemy, a.k.a. Scorcese Shells, a.k.a. Scorcese Lord Jones. He's a cool breeze. You hear me? I'm one half of the Dream Team, 1/4 of Nation Gang, 1/8 of the Zip Squad. It's a whole lot of money, a whole lot of bitches, a whole lot of whatever you want to do. Man, listen up. I'm going to tell y'all like this. Right now, Catchpoint trademark is out right now. This is the remix. You can pick that up at Scorcese.bandcamp.com. $5, 17 tracks, remixes, B-sides, and exclusive new music, man. I got records with Alaska. I got records with Zilla. I got records with Vic Spencer. I got records with Curly Castro. I got records with Quell fucking Chris. You hear me? yo, the project is crazy, man. Please go listen to it, pick it up. Like I said, man, we're seeing a lot of love from that for real. After that, you got Griff. He's dropping Starve 2. That's his second instrumental project. Y'all want beats from Griff? You better get them. But if you pick the hot shit, give me your address because we got to fight. You better send that shit to me first. Yo, Nation Gang, Domination record. That shit is coming soon. We got the first single coming called Ahmed Johnson. We're going to be dropping that real soon. We got the motherfucking Midnight Express. We're trying to decide between the singles. It'll either be the song called Debt Left that I did with Eddie Kane and Flashes Clayton, or it's going to be the record Marvel versus DC with the homie Zilla Rocca. Coming real soon. Finally, East Hampton Polo Boys. First teaser single, Return of Kenshin Liger. That's going to be dropping. We got the video done. Shout out to M. Lito. We're coming real soon with that. Shout out to the homie Panels. Yeah, man, I told y'all, I'm not leaving y'all without no music no more. 9 a.m. in Houston dropped. That was the last song I recorded live. That was actually the day Kobe died. Recorded in Houston with the homie George Young. Find that on all streaming platforms. Anyway, merch, as you can see, man, the fire, perfect yellow. You know what I'm saying? It's the Legends tee. It's on sale right now. $10. You can pick that up, get a copy of Catchpoint. We got some other really hot merch options, CDs, tapes, etc. Pick that up at griffxscorsese.bandcamp.com. That's going to change pretty soon. We're about to pick up a URL and really kind of incorporate everything. I want to thank y'all taking your time to listen. I want to thank the homie Sneaky for real. He didn't have to do this. He didn't have to check my DM, but he did and say, yo, Shells, come on, let's do this. Tony Grands, as always, for the connect. That's Big Unk.
Tony.
Jesus, man, I could do this. Yeah, man, Grandzilla for real.
Grandzilla for real.
I'm still mad y'all didn't get the Pocket Full of Paper remix. Oh man, I bodied that shit. He couldn't get it mixed in time. Oh, I killed that beat. Anyway, I'm about done with it. Please come check us out. If you haven't yet, follow me at Jihad Scorcese. That's my Instagram, and Scorcese Jihad. I had to flip it. It's funny, Sneaky mentioned, why didn't I brand Zip Squad? My original name used to be Zip Squad Jihad. That account got banned after the Eagles
Why
lost.
Jihad, though? You a Muslim?
So Jihad is actually a name that I was given by some friends of mine back in college. It just stands for just interested in hoes and dollars.
Oh, it's all acronyms. I forgot. Even Scorsese is an acronym, right?
Scorsese is also an acronym. That's correct. So
I was like, why is this fool naming himself after a director? That's just hard to find, bro. The real Scorsese comes up. It's like, bro, what the fuck?
That's why it's spelled differently. It's spelled with the C instead of the S. And if you notice, most people will spell it wrong anyway. That's the funniest part.
It still comes up. Even with the C, it comes up, bro. That shit, because Google's like, did you mean this other Scorsese? Mm-hmm. But
yep. And if you notice, that's why I always capitalize the last D in Jihad whenever I spell it.
You do. You like sign all your tweets with that shit to let people know this is a word over here. Yeah.
It's a word and not me just, I'm not eternal war or whatever the fuck.
Well, I studied religion though, so it's funny because you talked about you studied English, and so you're always thinking about words. I studied religion and history, so I'm always thinking about stories and movement of people and like big moments, and like it's just training. It's just this training you learn academia that makes you put different patterns together.
Absolutely.
So Jihad, I always like, damn, this fool must be Muslim or something, but I guess. Nah. All right, man. Well, thank you for rocking with me, dog. I appreciate your time. I hope this helps you out and that all the folks, like this is a little window into who you are, your story, your journey. And I hope that like whoever tunes into my shit, like they got to hear a story of like, a real journey of someone who, wasn't trying to be who they ended up being, but through, just life and destiny, like you become who you are. And it's always a trip, especially because I don't know you, right? So like if I knew you and I knew your story, then it'd be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like talk about this and talk about that. But when I'm also discovering along with the audience, I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. Like that's on point. You went this way, you went that way, and then like this happened. All these fucking people got involved. Like this is. it grew, right? And now we're gonna keep expanding. And thank you for being part of the growth and the journey and all of that, man. So thank you.
Hey, yo, I appreciate that. Look, man, Sneaky Shells, that's coming soon. Just so y'all know, we're gonna get something in place for y'all. We might even call I like Sneaky Shells a little better than Sneaky Scorcese. But either way, we're gonna drop something. Thank you as always, man. You providing a platform for independent artists and unknown artists just like me. If you're an artist right now, you're not fucking with them, I don't understand what you're doing because you're wasting your own time. You should be reaching out too, man, especially before something happens, like the price go up. Holla at your boy, man. Look, I'm letting them know I didn't pay anything because you showed me love and you fuck with what I was doing. But for a lot of y'all motherfuckers, y'all might want to go ahead and do your thing before you see y'all talking about bad interviews. I'm a fire interview. I can talk night. You know what I mean? So y'all better get yourselves together. I really hope I get a chance to come back soon though. Hopefully right around when Midnight Express drops, man. I'd love to sit and talk with you. Hopefully get Griff on. We can do a 3-way and you can really kind of get a chance to get to know us both.
Hey man, hit me up for that. We'll try to figure it out, and you know, hopefully before, you know, sooner rather than later. I hope I could throw a show, because my whole thing about, like, I used to throw a monthly hip hop show. That's how I met Tony, and I was known for bringing acts from out of state and, like, you know, underground talented folks who weren't getting shine and, you know, like high level shows for the community for free and shit. So whenever that shit cracks again, like, I hope you can come out and do all that, man.
You make sure I got it in advance. You let me know when the next time you get a chance to throw a show. Once all this shit is over, I'll be there.
Tight. Or maybe we do it live, man. You got equipment and shit now. Maybe we set up some live shit.
Say
you know,
like, just that'd be fun too.
Because I think at this point, you know, Sneaky Entertainment, it's an event production company, and so if there's no events going on, I think we're really gonna have to step up our live production game and start throwing hip hop live shows again with different artists that we curate and make sure people got proper setups, and maybe I'll give you my login for my whatever shit, or however we figure out how to do it, but it's definitely got to be done. I like that.
Let's get it. Look, man, let's set it up. You know what I'm saying? I'm on your time, definitely, as a thank you. And also just because, like I said, I do mean what I say when I'm telling the people, man. These type of platforms don't really exist for independent artists, man. It's hard for us to sometimes get a fair shake. I'm really glad that Sneaky's appreciating what I'm doing and kind of noticing and paying attention. And, you know, no payola, no wild shit. He just showing love, man. And sometimes it's that simple. You show love, you get love back. So we know it's going to be coming to you, whether you believe in a God or not, whether it's just blessing, a positive energy, or whatever it is that comes your way, man. It's coming your way.
Thank you,
just by doing this and taking that time, man.
And
I appreciate
you got
brother.
More of your East Coast folks, or a lot of, you know, if any of those names you dropped, if they want to jump in on a call like this and they got the Wi-Fi and the gear, like, let's set it up, man. I'm down to have this conversation with anybody, because at the end of the day, I mean, what else we got to do? Like, what do we got to lose? Everything to gain. Like, this conversation might go viral. You know, people might just really fucking resonate with the shit you said, or we never know. So I'm always down. You let your people know. I'm glad you came out, and we'll definitely be in touch, man. Now that I know you, I got a face to the Twitter account. I know your voice now, and I hear you on the record. I know who's who, and yeah, man, it'll be fun, bro. So
you see why I talk so reckless, man. I'm 6'2", 240, man. I'm knocking niggas the fuck out. Don't come on my Twitter page talking all that bullshit, because y'all know, man, I show up.
Yeah, they can't tell from the camera angle right now, but yeah, you're a big dude, I guess.
You know what I mean? Like, it's look, man, it ain't soft either. Just so y'all know, don't let the migraines fool you, man. That shit don't come along too often. All right.
All right, man. Well, have a good night.
Bring some fluorescent lights for your boy. That's what you need. The only way you bringing me down.
Man, that's your kryptonite? You just told people your kryptonite. Motherfuckers be blowing up on you with a lamp. Like, hey, fuck you, fam.
Yo, bright light like a gremlin. You got to just bring me down. Look, man.
You're like a vampire or some shit. I'm gonna hit you with the UV rays, you know?
Look, quit playing with me, cuz.
All right, my boy. It's been fun, dog. Till next time, Sneaky out. Stay safe, stay productive, and keep spreading your message, man. Till next time. Peace.
My G, stacking chips on record, crushing every single enemy. Peace.
Yo, let's talk about recognition and respect. While I feast, the label's picking up the check. Then I